Your participation in Meditation Life Skills is greatly appreciated. We are all like pieces from the same puzzle. You are the light the world needs today. You're amazing.
We're diving deep into Metatron's cube today. You know, I saw this on the list and I thought this would be a good one to get into. You've been doing some really fascinating research on this, and I'm excited to unpack it together. See if this geometric figure really does hold the key to understanding the universe, maybe even our own consciousness. So where do we even begin with something like this?
Well, I think the coolest thing about Metatron's cube is that it kind of sits right at the intersection of ancient spiritual traditions and then also like these really complex mathematical concepts. And so it's not just an abstract symbol, it has these deep roots and could offer like a glimpse into the actual fundamental structure of reality.
First things first, who is Metatron? And why does this cube have his name on it?
So Metatron is an archangel. He's a super significant figure in Jewish, Christian, Islamic traditions, and he's often referred to as the scribe of God. Essentially, he's believed to understand like the mechanics of creation itself.
So if he understands the mechanics of creation, how is that reflected in this cube?
Well, the cube is said to contain the very building blocks of the universe. The 5 platonic solids.
Back up for a second.
Sure.
Platonic solids, what are those?
So platonic solids are 5 three-dimensional shapes.
Okay.
Where each face is the same regular polygon, and the same number of polygons meet at each vertex. So think of them as like the most basic symmetrical three-dimensional shapes possible. So you've got your tetrahedron, your cube, your octahedron, your dodecahedron, and your icosahedron.
Why are those shapes important?
Well, a lot of ancient cultures, they believed that these shapes were the fundamental forms from which like everything in the physical world is actually constructed. So they saw them as like literally the building blocks of the universe, each one associated with different like elements and energies.
So this cube supposedly contains the shapes that make up everything around us.
That's the idea.
How is that even possible?
So Metatron's cube is formed by 13 circles. And they're all the same size, and they're all connected by straight lines. And within this like really intricate network of circles and lines, you can actually find all 5 platonic solids.
Oh, wow.
The first 3, so the tetrahedron, the cube, and the octahedron are all perfectly represented. But then to see the dodecahedron and the icosahedron, you need to like visualize additional lines or imagine the cube in like higher dimensions.
It's like a visual puzzle. Think beyond the three-dimensional perspective that we're used to. But this Metatron, this powerful archangel, he's connected to this complex geometry. How did that knowledge get passed down to us?
So that's where a very famous mathematician enters the picture. His name is Leonardo Pisano, better known as Fibonacci.
Oh, Fibonacci, yeah.
You might recognize his name from the Fibonacci sequence.
Right.
It's a series of numbers that's found all throughout nature. Well, it's believed that Fibonacci might have actually discovered the visual representation of Metatron's cube during his like explorations of mathematics and its connection to the universe.
So we have Metatron like this keeper of divine knowledge.
Right.
And then centuries later, Fibonacci brings this knowledge into a visual form that we can actually understand. It's like a relay race of wisdom through time.
I love that analogy. That's exactly right.
So this visual representation with its, complex geometry and the connection to the platonic solids, it's believed to hold some really profound meaning and offer insights into the nature of reality itself.
It really does.
This is where it gets really interesting. I'm ready to dive deeper into the meaning behind the cube.
It's a symbol with lots of layers of interpretation, and each one is more fascinating than the last.
Metatron's cube, this ancient symbol with connections to archangels and mathematicians and like the very building blocks of the universe.
I know, it's a lot.
It's a lot to take in. But let's get practical for a second. How are people actually using Metatron's cube in their lives?
That's a great question, because it's one thing to like admire the beauty and the symbolism of it, but it's another thing to actually like apply its principles and its energy.
Right. Like what are the practical applications of Metatron's cube in like the modern world?
One of the most common uses that we see is in meditation. So the intricate geometry of the cube, it provides a focal point for the mind.
Okay.
It helps to quiet thoughts and induce a deeper state of awareness.
So it's like a visual mantra.
Yes, exactly.
Kind of repeating a word or a phrase, you're focusing on this complex pattern.
And that's what's so cool about sacred geometry in general, is that it kind of transcends language. And so it can be really powerful for people who, have busy minds or maybe struggle with traditional meditation techniques.
So what are the benefits? What do people hope to achieve by meditating on Metatron's cube?
So the sources mention that you can enhance intuition, provide spiritual insights, and create a greater sense of peace and harmony. And some even believe that it can help you access higher realms of consciousness, like the Akashic Records.
The Akashic Records, that's a new one for me.
Yeah, so think of it as like a cosmic database containing all the knowledge and experience of every soul that has ever existed.
Wow.
So it's a pretty heady concept. But the idea is that Metatron's cube can act as a key to unlocking this vast storehouse of wisdom.
So by meditating on the cube, you're essentially tapping into the universal internet.
Kind of like Google for your soul. But whether or not you buy into the idea of the Akashic Records, there's no denying that the cube's complex geometry can be a really powerful tool for just like focusing the mind during meditation.
Right. It's like giving your meditation practice like an extra boost.
So we've got some pretty fascinating source material that outlines steps to meditate on this cube. And the goal here is like spiritual growth and a connection with higher realms of consciousness. And what's really fascinating about this Metatron's cube is that it's said to contain these 5 platonic solids. Now, I know that might sound a little intimidating at first, but stick with me here. These solids are key to understanding the power behind this whole meditation thing.
So picture this. You have a simple pyramid, and that's called a tetrahedron. It's one of the platonic solids. Now imagine a child's building blocks, those perfect cubes, that's another one. And then add to that an 8-sided shape, like 2 pyramids glued base to base, called an octahedron. There are 2 more that are equally symmetrical. But trust me, these basic shapes are what ancient philosophers believed formed the very essence of our universe. They saw these shapes reflected in nature, like in crystals and even in the cosmos.
So we're not just talking about some abstract shapes here. We're talking about patterns woven into the fabric of reality.
Exactly.
That's pretty mind-blowing.
And that's what makes meditating on Metatron's cube so powerful. It's like a visual reminder that we're part of something much greater than ourselves.
Definitely. And our source material actually lays out steps on how to use this powerful symbol in meditation. And it all starts with setting the scene. What have you got for us?
It's all about creating a space where you can really immerse yourself in this experience. Think about finding a quiet spot, maybe lighting a candle, and most importantly, taking those deep, centering breaths to quiet your mind.
It's almost like you're creating a sacred space, even if it's just for a few minutes. That really sets the tone for a deep dive into yourself, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And once you've created that tranquil space, then you're ready to move into the visualization part of the meditation.
All right, so we're relaxed, we're centered, we've got our quiet space. What's next? Do we just stare at a picture of Metatron's cube and hope for the best?
Not quite. The source suggests gazing at the image, really taking in those 13 circles and the lines that connect them. Then you try to recreate that intricate pattern in your mind's eye.
I can see how that might take some practice.
It does. But like anything, the more you practice, the easier it becomes. And here's where it gets even more interesting. As you're visualizing Metatron's cube, it's essential to set a clear intention for your meditation.
So we're not just admiring pretty patterns here. We're actively engaging with this symbol. What kind of intention are we talking about?
Think about what you're hoping to gain from this experience. Are you seeking guidance, clarity on a situation, a deeper connection to your inner self, or even a sense of connection to something bigger? Whatever it is, hold that intention in your mind as you visualize the cube.
It's like you're setting your internal compass before you embark on a journey. Intention is your guidepost. So we've set the scene, we're visualizing this intricate cube, and we've set our intention. What happens next?
This is where the concept of interconnectedness comes in, which is beautifully represented by the very structure of Metatron's cube.
Yeah, with all those circles and lines, it's almost impossible not to see the connection.
And that's the point. It's meant to remind you of the interconnectedness of everything in the universe. We're all part of this incredible cosmic web, linked in ways we might not fully comprehend.
It's like we're all drops in the same vast ocean, each one reflecting the whole.
A perfect analogy. And as you meditate on Metatron's cube, you're essentially tapping into that vast ocean of energy and recognizing your place within it. It's a really powerful concept.
I've definitely had those moments during meditation where I've felt that sense of oneness with everything around me. It's difficult to describe, but it's just an incredible feeling.
Absolutely. Those moments can be profoundly moving and insightful, and that's precisely what meditating on Metatron's cube aims to cultivate. It's about experiencing that sense of connection and realizing that we are not separate, but part of a larger unified whole.
It's like all those individual circles suddenly coming together to form a bigger picture. But let's be real, our minds love to wander, especially during meditation. What happens when we inevitably get distracted?
That's perfectly natural. The source emphasizes the importance of gently guiding your mind back to the visualization if it starts to drift. Don't get frustrated with yourself. Just gently redirect your focus back to the image of Metatron's cube and the feelings it evokes.
So we're focused on the visualization, feeling that sense of connection, and gently guiding our minds back if they stray. What's the next step in this meditation?
The key from here is to allow yourself to fully experience the sensations that arise. Embrace the energy of Metatron's cube. Feel a sense of unity and harmony with the universe. Let the symbol's energy wash over you, and be open to any insights that might emerge.
It sounds like a truly immersive experience, almost like stepping into a different dimension.
It can be.
But how do we know when it's time to come back from this meditative journey?
Our source suggests concluding the meditation when you feel ready. Gradually bring your awareness back to the present moment, and take a moment to express gratitude for any insights or experiences you may have had during the meditation.
It's like saying thank you to the universe for the journey and the wisdom it offered.
Exactly, and acknowledging the power of these practices to connect us with something larger than ourselves.
So far, we've explored the steps involved in meditating on Metatron's cube, from setting the scene to visualizing the symbol and embracing the feeling of interconnectedness.
Well, what I think is so captivating about Metatron's cube is how it links the physical and the spiritual. We've talked about the Platonic solids as the building blocks of the universe.
Yeah.
But those shapes, they're not just theoretical concepts. They show up in nature all the time.
Oh, okay, now you have my attention. I'm all about seeing these abstract ideas play out in the real world.
Think about the structure of a diamond. Its structure is based on the tetrahedron, one of the shapes within Metatron's cube. And from the arrangement of molecules in living organisms to the stunning symmetry of snowflakes, these geometric patterns, they're everywhere.
So the same shapes we find in Metatron's cube are literally all around us.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It is. And when you meditate on Metatron's cube, you're not just visualizing some abstract symbol. You're tuning into the fundamental patterns that shape our reality. It's a visual reminder that we're part of this grand design, this inherent order and beauty that exists in the universe.
I can see how meditating on something so deeply connected to the natural world could lead to a sense of spiritual growth.
And remember how we talked about the interconnectedness of everything?
Yeah.
That's another key aspect of Metatron's cube meditation.
Yeah, the symbol itself is like a visual representation of that idea.
By contemplating that intricate web of circles and lines, you're deepening your understanding of how we're all linked. Not just to each other, but to everything in the universe.
It's like that saying, we're all just waves in the same ocean.
And meditating on Metatron's cube is like diving into that ocean of universal energy and feeling that connection firsthand.
I'm curious, is there more in the source material about the potential benefits of meditating with Metatron's cube?
There are a few other points worth highlighting. Some believe meditating on Metatron's cube can promote balance and harmony in their lives.
That makes sense. The symbol itself is so symmetrical and balanced.
And by meditating on it, you might be able to bring more of that balance into your own life. It can also be a potent tool for self-reflection and introspection.
So it's not just about connecting with the universe out there. It's about connecting with ourselves on a deeper level, too.
It's about understanding your own thoughts, emotions, and patterns of behavior, seeing those internal patterns with a fresh perspective. Some even believe Metatron's cube can facilitate healing and transformation.
Wow, it's like this one symbol holds so much potential. So if someone is feeling lost or stuck, this meditation could help them find a new path.
By tapping into that universal energy and gaining new insight, you can open yourself up to new possibilities.
It sounds like this is a very active form of meditation, not just about relaxation, but about really engaging with the universe and finding your place within it.
You've got it. It's a dynamic practice that can lead to profound insights and personal growth.
You know, I'm feeling inspired to try this myself, and I'm sure our listeners too.
I highly recommend giving it a try. It can be a really enriching experience.
Before we move on, let's recap what we've learned about Metatron's cube meditation so far. We've explored the practical steps, the platonic solids as those universal building blocks, and the concept of interconnectedness. We've also touched on the potential benefits, from finding balance to facilitating healing.
We've covered a lot, but there's one more crucial aspect to discuss. It's the power of intention.
Okay, so intention is key in this practice. Can you tell me more about that?
You're right, it's crucial, and our source material really emphasizes this. When you set a clear intention before meditating, you're essentially giving your subconscious mind a direction to follow.
So instead of just passively observing the symbol, we're actively working with it, almost like we're having a conversation with the universe.
That's a great way to put it. Let's say your intention is to get some clarity on a challenging situation you're facing. As you meditate on Metatron's cube, you're essentially inviting insights and guidance specifically related to that challenge. It's like focusing a beam of light on that specific area of your life.
So it's not that the cube magically solves our problems, but it helps us access a deeper level of understanding that we might not have been able to reach on our own.
Think of Metatron's cube as a tool, like a magnifying glass for your intention. It helps you connect with a wellspring of wisdom and insight that's always available to you.
Now, how do we go about setting an intention? Is there a specific method?
It can be as simple or as elaborate as you like. The important thing is that it feels right for you. People find it helpful to write down their intention before they start meditating. Others just hold it in their minds. It's about finding what resonates with you.
So there's no right or wrong way as long as the intention is clear in your mind.
The key is to be very specific about what you're seeking. The more specific your intention, the more focused and powerful your meditation will be.
So let's say someone is feeling lost, like they've lost their sense of purpose. Could they use Metatron's cube meditation with the intention of finding direction?
Absolutely. Remember we talked about Metatron's cube containing the building blocks of the universe. Well, some believe that by meditating on this symbol, you can tap into the blueprint of your own life. You can see those patterns more clearly.
Wow, that's a powerful image. So by contemplating the order and harmony of this cube, we might gain a deeper understanding of our own path and purpose.
It's definitely a possibility. And even if you don't get those clear-cut answers that you're searching for, the act of setting an intention and meditating on Metatron's cube can be incredibly transformative in itself. It helps open your mind to new possibilities and allows you to trust in the process.
It's like surrendering to the flow of the universe and having faith that you're being guided.
You've got it.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this form of meditation so special. It invites you to connect with something larger than yourself, to tap into that universal wisdom, and to embark on a journey of self-discovery.
We've learned so much in this deep dive. We explored the practical steps of Metatron's cube meditation. We learned about the profound symbolism of the platonic solids and explored the concept of interconnectedness. And we can't forget about the incredible potential benefits from finding balance and harmony to experiencing healing and transformation.
It's been quite a journey. If Metatron's cube truly does hold the building blocks of the universe, what does that mean for us? What can we learn about ourselves and our place in the cosmos by meditating on this ancient symbol?
Keep that mind open to all the amazing possibilities that exist within you and the universe around you.
Meditation isn't the only way that people are using Metatron's cube. We came across a few sources that mentioned its application in energy work and healing practices.
Absolutely. For example, some Reiki practitioners incorporate Metatron's cube into their session. They might visualize it surrounding their client or using it as like a focal point to channel Reiki energy.
So instead of just hands-on healing, they're bringing in this powerful geometric symbol to like amplify the energy flow.
The idea is that Metatron's cube, because it represents balance and harmony, can help clear blockages and promote healing by just restoring that energetic equilibrium.
Okay.
And it's also believed to offer protection, drawing on those protective qualities that are associated with Archangel Metatron.
So you're kind of calling in like the Archangel's A-team for backup during your healing session.
I like that.
Yeah. But speaking of protection, one article mentioned people carrying the cube like as a talisman. Is that purely for its protective qualities, or are there other reasons as well?
So the protective qualities are definitely a big draw. You know, Metatron is often depicted as a guardian and protector, but people also use it as a reminder of the cube's other symbolic meanings. So things like balance, interconnectedness, and that potential for spiritual growth.
It's like a portable reminder of those universal principles, a way to kind of stay connected to that energy throughout the day.
Exactly. And then there are the creative applications of Metatron's cube. So we see artists and musicians incorporating the geometry and the symbolism into their work.
We touched on that briefly, but can you give some more concrete examples?
Yeah.
How are artists actually using the cube in their creative process?
So imagine like intricate mandalas inspired by the cube's geometry, or paintings and sculptures that explore the interplay of lines and circles and those platonic solids. It's really about using the cube as a springboard for visual expression.
So it's not just replicating the cube itself.
Right.
It's about tapping into its essence, its energy, and allowing that to flow through different artistic mediums.
Exactly. And then for musicians, the cube's geometric proportions and numerical sequences can be translated into musical harmonies and melodies and rhythms.
Wow.
So it's like composing music based on the mathematical principles that are embedded in the cube.
That's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
So Metatron's cube is this source of inspiration for artists across all these disciplines,
Right.
offering endless possibilities for creative exploration.
It really does, and it speaks to the power of sacred geometry in general to inspire and elevate human creativity.
Now, one thing that really stood out to me in the research was this concept of using Metatron's cube for personal transformation. What does that entail?
So remember how Metatron's cube is seen as a blueprint for the universe containing the building blocks of creation?
Right.
Well, the idea is that by working with the cube, we can align ourselves with that blueprint.
Okay.
Tap into its inherent harmony and balance, and then apply those principles to our own lives.
So if the universe operates according to these geometric principles, then aligning ourselves with them can lead to positive change and growth.
Exactly. It's about recognizing our own connection to that cosmic order.
Okay.
Understanding that we're not separate from the universe, but
Right.
rather we're an integral part of it. And by working with Metatron's cube, we can tap into that interconnectedness and unlock our own potential.
Okay. Can you give us some examples of how that might manifest in someone's life? What are some tangible changes they could expect to see?
Could be anything from increased self-awareness and clarity to a greater sense of purpose and direction.
Okay.
Some people might experience enhanced creativity, improved relationships, or a deeper connection to their spirituality. It's really about aligning with those cube's principles of balance and harmony and interconnectedness, and then allowing those energies to guide your personal journey.
It's almost like Metatron's cube is a tool for self-discovery and personal growth,
Yeah, I love that.
helping us to align with our highest potential.
Exactly. It's about embracing the wisdom that's embedded within the cube and using it as a catalyst for positive change.
So it's not a magic bullet, but it's a tool that can empower us to create positive change in our lives.
Exactly.
But with all this talk about the positive aspects of Metatron's cube, are there any potential downsides? Anything we should be cautious about?
That's a really valid question because while Metatron's cube is generally considered a benevolent and protective symbol, it's still a very potent energetic tool.
Yeah.
And like any tool, it's important to use it with respect and intention and awareness.
So not just throwing it around willy-nilly.
Exactly. Some people might feel overwhelmed by the energy of the cube, especially if they're new to working with sacred geometry or spiritual practice. So it's essential to approach it gradually, honor your own pace, and trust your intuition.
Don't jump into the deep end without getting your feet wet first.
Exactly. Start slowly, listen to your inner guidance, and be mindful of your own energy and boundaries. So if you're feeling drawn to work with Metatron's cube, do your research, learn from experienced practitioners, and most importantly, trust your own inner wisdom.
That sounds like really solid advice.
Yeah.
It's about approaching the cube with respect and mindfulness and a healthy dose of discernment, but also with a sense of wonder and excitement for the journey ahead.
Absolutely. Exploring Metatron's cube is a fascinating and potentially transformative adventure. It's a journey that invites us to expand our awareness, connect with those universal energies, and unlock the limitless possibilities within ourselves.
It sounds like we've only just begun to scratch the surface of what Metatron's cube has to offer.
Oh, we have barely scratched the surface.
I'm ready to dive even deeper and explore these mind-bending connections to higher dimensions and the nature of consciousness.
Then buckle up, because things are about to get truly cosmic.
All right, so we've established that Metatron's cube is more than just a pretty pattern. It's a symbol woven into spiritual traditions, mathematical concepts, and maybe even the structure of the universe itself.
Absolutely.
But you mentioned things were going to get cosmic, and I am ready for my mind to be blown wide open. What can Metatron's cube tell us about higher dimensions and the nature of reality?
Okay, so this is where things get really mind-bending. Remember how we talked about the platonic solids being the building blocks of the universe? Well, some believe that those shapes aren't just metaphorical. They might actually represent the fundamental geometric structures of higher dimensions.
Wait, higher dimensions?
Yeah.
Like as in beyond the 3 dimensions that we can perceive?
Right.
I'm picturing some kind of like interdimensional geometry.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if my brain can handle it.
It's a tough concept to grasp, I think, for sure. Our brains are wired to perceive reality in 3 dimensions: length, width, and height. But theoretical physics, particularly string theory, suggests that there could be many more dimensions curled up within the fabric of space-time, just beyond our ability to directly observe them.
So there could be entire worlds existing beyond our limited senses.
That's a possibility.
And Metatron's cube might be giving us a glimpse into those realms.
That's the idea.
Okay, so Metatron's cube isn't just a 2-dimensional representation. It's like a multidimensional key.
Exactly.
Unlocking a perspective of reality that's normally hidden from us. We keep coming back to this idea that Metatron's cube is somehow linked to the very nature of awareness.
That is the big mystery, isn't it? And there's no definitive answer, but there are some really intriguing theories. Some physicists and philosophers believe that consciousness might not be just a product of the brain, but like a fundamental aspect of the universe itself, just like gravity or electromagnetism.
So instead of our brains generating consciousness, they're more like receivers.
Yes.
Tuning into a universal field of consciousness that already exists.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this idea aligns really well with what we've been talking about with Metatron's cube. Because if it represents the blueprint of creation, and consciousness is a fundamental aspect of that creation, then it kind of suggests that consciousness isn't something we possess.
Okay.
It's something that we're a part of. It's woven into the very fabric of existence.
But if Metatron's cube represents this universal blueprint, and consciousness is woven into that blueprint, does that mean that we're all connected?
That's a really profound question, and
Yeah.
it's a possibility that's definitely worth contemplating. Imagine a universe where consciousness isn't separate or isolated,
Right?
but interconnected like a vast ocean with each of us as individual droplets within that ocean.
So we're all part of this like grand cosmic tapestry.
It's a really beautiful and potentially transformative way to view reality. It challenges us to recognize our interconnectedness and to understand that our thoughts and actions and intentions have an impact on the entire web of existence.
If we're all interconnected in this web of consciousness as represented by the cube, what responsibility does that place on us as individuals?
That's a great question. It invites us to live with greater awareness, compassion, and responsibility. It encourages us to see ourselves not as isolated individuals,
Right.
as integral parts of a greater whole. And our actions ripple outwards, impacting that entire web. And the choices that we make have these far-reaching consequences.
That's a really powerful realization.
It is.
It definitely adds a new dimension to the concept of personal responsibility.
Right.
It's not just about ourselves, it's about our impact on the entire interconnected web of existence.
And that's what makes this deep dive into Metatron's cube so rewarding.
Yeah.
It's not just about learning fascinating facts. It's about expanding our understanding of ourselves and the universe that we inhabit.
It's about recognizing the sacred geometry within and all around us, seeing those patterns of creation and choosing to live in alignment with those patterns.
Beautifully said. And perhaps by embracing the wisdom that's embedded in Metatron's cube, we can tap into our own limitless potential and contribute to the evolution of consciousness itself.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Metatron's cube, I'm left with this sense of awe and wonder. We started with a simple geometric shape, and now we're contemplating the interconnectedness of all things, the nature of consciousness, and the very structure of reality.
I know, right? It's incredible.
Where do we even go from here?
That's the beauty of it. The journey of exploration never truly ends. So I encourage everyone to continue exploring Metatron's cube for themselves. Meditate on it, draw it, contemplate its meaning, and see what resonates with you. You might be surprised by the insights and transformations that unfold.
So as you continue to explore Metatron's cube, consider this. If it truly is a map of creation, what part of that map do you represent? What unique potential are you bringing to this interconnected web of existence?
That's a wonderful question to ponder. Remember, the journey is the destination, and exploration of Metatron's cube is a journey that can lead to really profound insights and transformative experiences.
Well said. And on that note, we'll leave you to continue your own exploration of Metatron's cube and the infinite possibilities it holds. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.